We almost watched the Lower Deck Season 5 trailer again. Not that I think anybody would have minded, but what's up, party people? Welcome back to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of an Orion kidnapping. Who doesn't want to be? I just watched that episode like 20 minutes ago. I love being kidnapped by Orions. They're awesome. Yeah. Commander Hawk is here, ready for his session, the Moan Dens. Let's go. Yeah. You're going to foot massage some Orion pirates. I like it. Yep. We got Moopsies. We got all the Moopsies. Sub Commander Giraffe is here, ready to go shot for shot with some Orions. And Commander MC is here, currently rating the op-ed on why Wolf 359 was an inside job. Welcome back. How we doing?
Really good. I just watched the whole season, so I feel great.
Yeah, pretty much me too today. So
I love it. Eric is stuck at Starbase 80. They didn't have any shuttles, and the ones they do were from like 200 years ago. So he's not here tonight, but I believe he'll be joining us next week for the season 5 premiere. So that's going to be lots of fun. This week, we are prepping for that premiere. It's our review and deep dive of our favorite season of Lower Decks. Dare I say one of our favorite seasons of Star Trek ever?
Dare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dare.
Yeah, I
Dare.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's so good. I see a lot of people in the chat. Dana's threatening to fight someone if I'm not in my Lower Decks uniform. Listen, I'm not in it tonight. I will be in it next week. I may even have purple hair, but I do have some L cars going. So it's just like you could press my buttons. It's our deep dive of season 4. We're gonna discuss the promotions of our favorite Lower Deckers, to Lynn joining the crew, the struggle to fit in, Tendy's shocking exit, Mariner's character arc, and Nick Locarno's return. Though it's Tom Paris, who really knows if they're the same person or not. And then of course
I don't see it.
I don't see it. Nope. and how the theme of drifting apart affected the crew this season. And as always, just a ton more. We have a lot to get to tonight, so we're going to get right into some news. Patrons, you know who we are. We love you. We'll read your names next week. But Bad Rolls, always our executive producers. Y'all keep these lights on, everything running, our stickers, our giveaways, things like that. So thank you, Simon Stager, Commander Chris Waterman, Tara Poland, and Brett Jones. Y'all rock. Meanwhile, while you're out at your keyboards, you're typing away, do me a quick favor, hit the sub button if you haven't hit it yet. Subscribe, follow us on social media, all of that fun stuff. We're the same thing everywhere except that place that dude who, does bad things lives, that other social media platform we're not on anymore.
Threads is a really good place to follow us.
Threads is a great place to follow us. You could follow us everywhere at Strange New Pod and check out our website, strangenewpod.com, which was just recently updated with Eric's awesome new logo, new color scheme, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, quick news. Lower Decks panel going on at NYCC. I believe that's Saturday. MC is going to be our person in the chair for that. She will be doing all our coverage on Threads and social media, Instagram. So stay tuned to all our socials for that. That's Saturday. Also, I believe Dana volunteered to be our ambassador at Comic-Con tomorrow. So stay tuned to our socials for stuff from like the convention floor. She's going to send us pictures and everything. We really appreciate your help with that. Does anybody else have any news? I'm trying to get to the pod quickly. Giraffe, you usually got something?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about this. I'm going to be at the Newport Beach Festival next week to see the first episode of Lower Decks Live. It's a screening that they're doing. So if you're in Southern California, I think there's still tickets.
Nice.
It's Wednesday, 23rd at 7:30 p.m. At Newport, in Newport.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. There's a few of us also from the collective, and I know like NYC away team. We're all headed to the Voyager documentary premiere on the 11th next month. So you could find us there. We're probably going to plan a dinner with some New York folks. And then
it's going to be the 7th in LA. I may be there. I don't know. Last minute.
Okay.
So
nice.
If anybody gets me a ticket, maybe. There are ways. There are ways.
And then
I just remembered I'm going to be on Trek Sprint Quiz on Saturday.
Nice.
So check that out.
Yeah, sweet. And then October 18th, too. You should try and get tickets if there's still any left. It's during Creation Star Trek New Jersey, but Tawny and Eugene are going to be at Second City, New York, doing a show. And I got tickets. You should get tickets. I'm going to go. That is going to have to be something amazing. It's super late. It's at like 10:30 p.m. So I'm guessing there's going to be lots of drinks involved. It'll be great. Yeah. And then finally, Heroes and Villains, our partners. You can get 20% off using our code STRANGE on your first order. You should check out them if you're at Comic-Con because they always go like balls to the wall on their booths. So go check them out. I will have Dana get pictures from their booth tomorrow as well. They just released some new Wolverine and like Deadpool gear that looks really cool. Yeah, so check them out. 20% off your first order in the US using our code STRANGE. Anything else? $40, Matt. They're $40. $40 for the tickets. Good. Oh yeah, the After Midnight. Did everybody watch After Midnight?
Oh, After Midnight was so cool.
Jim just reminded us. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. LeVar is hosting Trivial Pursuit on the CW. I haven't watched an episode yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's other thing, but like right now I'm like blinking. There's
there's probably something. Yeah.
I don't know.
Should we get into?
One more thing. Thank you to everybody who joined the Sci-Fi Sister live on Tuesday. I was there. I had my fan club. Thank you, fan club.
That was a great show.
That's fun.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Sci-Fi Sisters rock. We love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I think we should get into our review of season 4 because the season rocks. This like I've said it to the point of nauseum on the show. I'll say it again, but like this season holds a very special place in my heart. I know it holds a special place in MC and Eric's heart, like because we got to watch it together in Toronto, and that was just like one of the coolest things ever. So like anytime I get to talk about this season, it just makes me really happy. So I'm stoked for tonight's pod. Our order tonight will go Hawk, Giraffe, MC, followed by myself. We're gonna start kind of right from the beginning of things. The lower deckers being promoted, new responsibilities, same chaos, definitely the same chaos. Promotions for Boimler, Mariner, Rutherford, a little bit later for Rutherford and Tendi. It's a major milestone, right? Like, I think maybe we had talked about it coming a little bit earlier in the show. It didn't. They waited till season 4. But I want to ask you guys how this has changed the dynamic of that group early on in the season, even going all the way like near the end, right? Considering they've spent most of the series like in that bunk, like enough times where Boims made the dent in his bed and they saw, towel guy for like 3.5 seasons or 4 seasons. So, how did this change the dynamic, Hawk?
Dynamic wise, yeah, it definitely presented challenges for them. Personally, I find their group dynamic never really changes. Their interpersonal dynamic never really changes, but they've definitely been thrown some curveballs. I think Boimler trying to get acclimated to his new quarters was one of the funniest examples of that. In between two holodeck systems running basically just cathartic porn fantasies. I don't know. Killing Robin Hood and taking his quivers.
Horny Diane.
You're not every man.
What's up, Geek Filter? It's good to have you in the chat.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like for everything that's different about it now, nothing seems to change. I'm thinking of episode 3 when they were assigned like one of those terrible tasks of having to recalibrate all those chips.
The hazing.
The hazing, coming together for a prank and then having to abruptly abort the prank. They still have their group dynamic intact. If they are promoted, they're still lower deckers in spirit.
Yeah, agreed. Draft?
Yeah, I think I think promotion means very different things for them. But it's just taking them all to the same level because they stay in their same lane. And growing can be complicated when you are close to people. People react differently to promotions, or change in life. But I feel them, it's just still the same because let's be honest, they're still on the Cerritos. It's not like they got promoted to be like commander on the Enterprise. Like they're still doing dumb jobs. They just have a little bit more responsibility-ish, But I think it's important to see. I really appreciated the fact that some of them didn't want promotions because it's not always about being promoted in life, but staying together was the most important thing for them, especially like as a crew. I think it's a good metaphor. It's a good example of relationship between people. But in the end, not a long time has passed since season 1 in Lower Deck. So they got promoted quite fast in their timeline, in their like events happening. So I don't know. I'm happy something changed because I think if they kept, being the eternal ensign, it would have been a bit weird. But it was made in a way that didn't kill the internal relationship and the character development. The character development was not about being promoted, and that's what I really like.
Yeah. Geek Filter's asking. Yeah, it's been like what, a year, maybe a little bit more.
I think season 1 through 3 is like a year.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that though for the viewers. It still feels like 3 years.
No, but I really caught something on the last episode when Mariner said she was going through something for the last couple months, and that I was thinking, all that time from season 1 to now is pretty compacted in those few months, aren't they?
Yeah. You guys get to see how the sausage is made. Sorry, Draft, check your mic real quick, please. MC, you're up.
I remember talking last season about how we thought that they should be promoted to lieutenant's junior grade. And yes, Ransom, it's lieutenant's junior grade, because he was wondering what the plural was. Yeah, because we had talked about it because of all of the stuff that they went through in seasons 1, 2, and 3. It really felt like they should have already been promoted. So I remember, like, when it came to season 4, we were worried that they weren't going to be promoted until the end of the season because we kind of felt like it was going to happen. But then it happened right away, and it was wonderful. And I don't think that they changed at all. I think they became more of themselves. I was so happy to find out that Rutherford had turned down promotions because, first of all, that is the most Rutherford thing that he could have done. Because he is somebody who's always more about the camaraderie than he is about his own personal development in Starfleet. And he is also, I feel, the one who has had the most professional success because all of the stuff that he points out that he has done. So I thought it was a lot of fun that he was the one that was held back from promotion, but he was the one that had already had promotions. But Mariner, we see throughout the season, like we'll be talking about it later, she just kind of becomes more insubordinate, and Boimler is just kind of more hyper focused.
He's like Boimler times 11.
Yeah. And Tendi, I think, is a lot of fun, and this is something else we'll talk about later. She does become more focused on her science, but then also she's bringing more of that part of her that she never wanted to show to anyone, because now that they've been promoted, they're all more comfortable in their own skin. And I mean, even with Boimler, with him acting, like ultra Boimler, you have Ransom, and he's like, I like that lieutenant. Yeah.
I don't really know like what to add. I do think that, like, it's really Mariner who's like the focus of like the promotions, right? Because again, like, it's that kind of final struggle for her to really like amp up responsibility, and like, can she be the officer that she knows she can be, but keeps kind of like getting in the way of herself. Boimler always, like, this is, Mike McMahon talked about this at Comic-Con last year. Like, this is what Boimler's always wanted. Like, this is his goal. So of course, like, he just, he gets a little bit nervous about it, but like, yeah, he turns it up to like 11. He's just like Boims on steroids. So yeah, it's definitely a bit of a dynamic change, and we do get them and we'll talk about this later, like the drift apart, because they do get other responsibilities, right? And they also, like, kind of going back to what Hawk said, like with Rutherford and Boimler like rooming together, it is a bit of a different dynamic. All of a sudden, these people that you see on the outside, you're all of a sudden seeing, for them, like, all the time. That creates problems. It's like rooming with your best friend, like paying for an apartment together for the first time. It's a bit of a change, and fights are going to happen. So yeah, there is definitely a dynamic change. We kind of already talked about the anxiety, right? Of like, podcasters, fans, whatever, like people kind of wondering, like what comes with these new responsibilities, if this was ever going to happen. I think the answer to this is yes. I want to kind of get your brief thoughts. Like, do they still feel like lower deckers, even though they're lieutenants now? Like, I think yes, but, some people might have different ideas.
Junior grade, lieutenant.
Junior grade.
Please, like, come on.
Yeah, seriously, it's they're still lower deckers at heart in that, and it's almost like they haven't had enough time with these promotions to even, like, consider themselves like any different than they were before. Again, like, still planning, like, dumb, like, tricks on people who are hazing them.
Oh my God, the Alamorang game.
The Alamorang game, and that him rushing through that whole thing was just so freaking funny.
Run faster, motherfucker!
Yeah, these promotions really do nothing to change them in spirit. Any of them. If anything, it's just like it's more for our entertainment, and not watching them kind of fumble through some of the new responsibilities that they're given.
Yeah. Anybody else? good? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, just even outside of the lower deckers, like the Cerritos just in general is treated with more respect. And I don't think it affects things at all because even though Lower Decks is a episodic series, it is still in this era where, we need progression. It's not like the TOS where you can have Uhura be a lieutenant for 10 years and nobody
Or
blinks an eye.
Voyager.
Or Voyager, yeah. With poor Harry
I can't
Kid
wait for this
being an
season, man.
but yeah, no, I mean, like, as fun as it is to have them be ensigns and do all of the grunt work, I mean, first of all, we didn't actually see them do a lot of grunt work. Like, they made a couple of jokes about it. So it just makes sense to have them grow. Otherwise, it would just be frustrating.
Yeah. Let's move on to Boim's journey, right? Because I mentioned earlier, it was almost a year ago in like 2 days. I talked to Mike McMahon at a round table, and I asked him about, like, we've started to get backstories from other characters. And I asked him about, well, besides the Raisin Farm, is Boim's going to get anything? And he's like, well, no, because Lower Decks, like, is Boim's backstory, right? Like, this is what he's always wanted. He was wanted to be, a Starfleet captain. So we get to see kind of that being his journey in this show. So as I put in the outline, right, like, his promotion has just been this long time coming, and the idea of it scares the fuck out of him in Tuvix, right? And then, once it finally happens, he starts to, like, get a little bit of, like, unsure of himself when he has to, like, order around the lieutenants on the Halo planet where they have to reset the computer, Vexilon. But yeah, how does he handle that increased responsibility? Because, like, it's a bit of an awkward transition, right? He's not in command yet, but it, like, definitely presents some of the season's funniest and most heartwarming moments when Boim's is, at his best. Hawk.
Yeah, he has had kind of like the most like Boimler experience with this promotion. He tries to go hard, but with episode 1, I know he was still kind of feeling held back because he felt guilty in relation to Mariner and that, because he wasn't sure how their friendship had survived, like her ordeal with Starbase 80 and everybody not believing her and her actually leaving. Episode 3 is where it really comes into his funniest in that, because he just goes extra hard into the Boimler mode. He's given his first command. He's got a crew that he's supposed to be ordering around and showing everybody what to do. He thinks it's so dangerous that he just decides to take on the entire work himself and just like keep everybody else, at a safe distance. And he eventually finds that it's impossible, and that if he's really going to like move forward in this promotion and actually embrace it, he's got to learn that command is command. He can't do everything. I love that episode when he hit the wall in Ferenginar, and that he was going there to like do this kind of
my god
a touristy mission, and that he overloaded his schedule and then ends up just like binge watching 8 hours of Ferengi television and that, because he hit a wall and he needed to relax. And even Ransom saw that. His was definitely like had those heartwarming but ultimately just so funny moments in his transition.
It really begs the question of like, how are people promoted? They're promoted, but there's no training, there's no psych eval, there is no making sure that they're okay with the responsibilities of human life in the vacuum of space, with things shooting at you and planets being run by supercomputers and all this. The Boimler of all people need training and a mentor, and I don't think he has found a mentor right now. I think everybody's like, he's idolizing so many people without actually learning valuable lessons from these people. He just wants to be Tom Paris, but what does it take? What does it teaches you? How do you react to things? And the fact that he just goes to save everybody and do the work by himself, just you need to think for a second and relax. The episode in Fairing, like the guy is in burnout.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And he's just a lieutenant junior grade. What are you doing to that guy? He's the kind of people I feel that, are educated to always be like that. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be this is where you're going to be. And that's their ultimate thing, And when they get there, what happens? They don't know why they're here. And the good thing about Boimler is that he has people around him that keeps him grounded, like Talin in that episode, that keeps him realistic about things, that also keep him in a way where he can actually grow and not murder himself basically at the task of doing crazy things. And I feel Motherf-er doesn't get, I know we're going to talk about Motherf-er after, but
that's fine, yeah.
He maybe doesn't really like, everybody just thinks that Motherf-er has his shit together and kind of okay with him creating super viruses and stuff like this. I think the crew is really taking care of Boimler because they know he's the one that most probably will need people around him.
Yeah.
Marina can be by herself and still survive. I'm not certain for Boimler. Tandy, 1,000%.
Well, no, we know 1,000% that Boimler can't be by himself because he literally fucking dies in the third episode.
This is true. but it's interesting because we were talking about promotions and we're talking about becoming higher on the promotions. But the thing is, in a situation like Starfleet, you want a crew. You want to make sure that you have people that have your back 1,000%. And I feel Boimler is the one that for sure is like supported by everybody. Yeah. And I don't feel it's a dynamic that is the same for everybody in that group.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. MC?
I don't know if I've ever said just how much I identify with Bradward Boimler. Like, absolutely, like this nervous, obviously neurodivergent dude who is super overachieving to the point of burnout, but then also having like this weird fear of success. So yeah, I actually think, like, as much as I love Tendi, there's no character in Star Trek I identify with more than Boimler.
Oh, he's everybody. He's us.
And I think, like, we've been talking about like his burnout on Ferenginar. I mean, like, the thing is with his burnout, like, he even overachieves at his burnout.
Oh my God. Right?
Yeah. And I think what Giraffe said is absolutely correct in that, Boimler is one of these people who was told, oh, you're going to be a doctor. And then it's the overachieving child syndrome, where it's like when you're a kid, everybody's like, you're going to do great things. And then you grow up and you're just a burnt out adult who doesn't really know how to deal with things. That's exactly who Boimler is. And I think, like, also going back to what Giraffe said about Boimler not having a mentor, I actually think Boimler has several mentors. We do see like this relationship between well, Riker, I guess, yeah. I know you wanted to say it.
I don't think his mentors are aware that he's their mentee.
Not one bit. No.
I disagree on that. Absolutely, Shax knows.
Yes, Shax does know. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think Ransom also knows too. Ransom has such an affection for Boimler, and I actually can see a lot of Boimler in Ransom, because Ransom is also like this overachieving, but he's basically, I think, Boimler, if Boimler had stayed on the Titan and stayed under Riker's mentorship, and kind of, because we also saw that in I think it was season 1 when he was looking for a bridge buddy, and he was starting to adapt Ransom's mannerisms. So yeah, well, I definitely see the connection between Ransom and Boimler, and there's an the entire it was anthropological fallacies
yes.
that he has, that subplot with Shax, and I don't think we've ever seen Boimler have a personal relationship with a senior officer more than in that episode where Shax, I mean, he, Boimler's his baby bear and has been for a while now. And this is the only time this season, other than at the very end of Parth, the Ferengi's heart, that when Ransom says, "Oh, well, you needed a break," Shax takes the time to say, it's like, you need to take care of yourself. Like, you can't be on all times of the day. And I think that's like super important. And Boimler really needs to learn that because, as burnt out as he got in the Ferengi episode, he could get worse. Like, there's a lot more burnout that can happen. Believe me.
100%. We have some great comments going in the chat. Geek Filters, we need to see more Pog and Dar cop landlords. Yes, I would like that spinoff, please. Jesse, it's so real. We've all had bosses that have no idea how to be bosses. It explains so much the dysfunction in the Cerritos crew. Yeah, I mean, like, to Draft's point, like, if this was the Enterprise, Riker and Deanna are having like meetings about the promotions and like thoughtful process. On the Cerritos, it's like, you get a pip,
and
you get a pip,
them,
everybody gets a pip.
They give them mentors.
Yeah.
Like, they give them, and I think, like, for me, a mentorship is way more than what Shax is doing. It's like knowing your mentee very well, and it's also having a relationship with that person of trust, of, really wanting them to be able to grow in a way that makes sense for them. And I mean, like, they're all good people. They're just acting like good people that take care of each other. But Riker, like, chooses the transporter clone.
Yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he does.
He does.
It's like, that's hard on Boimler. That's horrible.
Yeah.
To be fair, he didn't choose. It's just that Boimler is the one that stepped forward.
That's true. Yeah.
But then he forgot the other one. The other one got back. Like, he forgot there were two of them.
Kang kind of brought up my point about like Riker and Troy meeting to discuss the promotion of the Enterprise, but you could just imagine on the Cerritos like Ransom and Miglamo just yucking it up, right? Let's see other comments here. Don't we all have a little Boimler in each of us? Yes, we do. I want to talk about Boim's character arc, right? And like what this means, possibly even like going into season 5, because, he's had, as long as we've known Brad Boimler, like these early aspirations to be big hotshot captain. My favorite moment of the season, we'll get to those at the end of the show, but I'll say it now because it's relevant. My favorite moment of the season is seeing Boims in the captain chair in the finale, getting that moment and showing that he can do it. But like, are we going to see more of him, do you think, like getting in the way of himself? Do you think that like it's just going to be kind of more like onwards and upwards, Hawk?
My favorite moment of Boimler's arc this season was probably in A Few Badgies More, in that when he's dealing with Agamas for the second time.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
It was the approach. I think like when Shax took him for the secret ritual of the security team and that it was just like just puzzle games, slam poetry, and all that, and he didn't get it at that time. He seemed to adopt that approach when dealing with Agamas, and that letting Agamas do his evil plan. He wasn't actively trying to escape, even though like technically him and Tendy's lives were at stake. But something in him was telling him to let it play out, and that don't be a hero, just kind of go with the flow, because like this guy's got it. There's some other story that's happening, and I find like it hit like Shaq's homeopathic a method of dealing with pressure, and that might have paid off for him in that episode, and that he took a chill approach rather than just basically going off the rails or working too hard to come up with an escape plan. It worked itself out, and sometimes that's the best approach to problem solving.
Nice. Draft.
Can you repeat the question?
What do you think it means, like, kind of going into season 5 for Boimler, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I remember now. Hawk lost me. Speaking about Agamus, and I was like, wait, what? I think Boimler needs to find out what kind of officer he wants to be. Right now, I don't think he knows. Does he want to be the bleeding heart, the savior, the guy that goes into action? Does he want to be? He doesn't know he knows who he is as an ensign, but I don't think he knows who he is, like, in a position of power, a position of leadership. Sorry. And for example, I'm a millennial manager. Like, eat the rich, down with the patriarchy. Yeah, take your days off. No, I won't say you left early. That's who I am. And I think finding your voice in leadership is something that is very difficult, because you need to have, like, complicated conversation. You need to have deep conversation. You need to help people, but also sometimes you need to tell people to stop with their bullshit, right? And I don't think Boimler has yet the maturity or the self-confidence that we're talking about to know who he is when, he's going to be a captain. Like, Bucephalus Dagger is not a leadership figure. It's not a realistic thing. So I think that's what I want to see for our friend Boimler.
Yeah.
Yes.
MC? Growth,
man.
Growth. Agreed. MC.
Well, I think I'm going to end up repeating something that I said. I believe it was probably in the Prodigy season 2 review. And that's, this is, I think, even more appropriate for Boimler than it was for Dahl. But I hate that characters whose only ambition is to become captain.
Yeah,
I really
did say that.
I love like, my favorite captains are the ones who start out in another department and then grow to become captain just because they're so good at their job. Like, Sisko started in engineering, Michael, Janeway, were all in sciences. And these are just people that are just so good at their jobs. It's like, you know what, we're going to give you a ship. But then you have these people that, just want to be captains. That's the only thing they want to do. And I'm deeply, deeply suspicious of people who the only thing they want to do is order other people around. And I actually think, like, Boimler, there's probably a lot of other stuff that Boimler could do very well. And I mean, I'm not saying that he could not eventually be a captain, but there's a lot of stuff that he could do on the Cerritos that might not trigger his anxiety so badly, because he does put so much pressure on himself.
Well, not to interrupt you, MC, but, like, that's
it's okay.
That's a really good point.
Interrupt you.
Yeah, but I'm going to interrupt you because it's a really good point. Like, I think that he has the potential to be, like, the officer that he wants to be and do what he wants to do. I just don't know if the Cerritos is the right ship for him. Like, I actually think he was in a good spot when he was on the Titan. Even though he was a little bit nervous, like, I actually think he was in a good spot there. Like, whether it's a joke or not, like, in reality, the Cerritos is chaos energy. They get these chaos energy jobs because that's literally the job of the Cali class. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great point. Go ahead.
And it's again, like, the voices that he can imitate are people that are chaotic.
Yeah,
like Jack Ransom.
Yeah,
like Captain Freeman. Like Tiana.
Yeah.
And you need other example to see that there are other way to be in leadership. Yeah. Sorry, we interrupted you both.
It's totally okay.
But you didn't get skipped.
I do think about, like, I think it's like the second episode of the series where Rutherford goes through all of the different departments.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that would be something that would be really good for Boimler to do, to just experience some different jobs and just, like, step away from this idea of, I am going to be in command. Just, like, because, I mean, for Boimler, it seems like there's no, it's either, the grunt work of, cleaning the biofilters in the holodeck or being on the bridge. Like he needs some more in between.
Yeah, no, agreed. I want to move on to Mariner. I just want to read these comments, not Crook. I am not a Nugget. Blackheart writes, I believe new to the chat. Welcome. Not just captain, like talking about officers being power hungry, like just want to accelerate to be the top officer, right? At Starfleet Command. They're just in it for the power. I don't think Boims is that person. I think Boims just wants to be a captain, but we've seen in multiple Star Trek series those officers who just want to go to the top for the power and get it and then get arrested. So Dana writes, Boimler wants to be a captain so bad that he kind of messes himself up. Sometimes when you focus so hard on one thing, it leads to a trickle down effect, which is definitely accurate for Boims.
I think it's a lack of big pictures.
Yes.
That's the only thing he sees.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have other examples of people doing something else.
Yeah.
Which he needs.
I think he ignores the fact, he worships Captain Pike so much. He needs to pay attention to the fact that Pike was a test pilot to start out with.
Well, yes. Yeah. And then, we really need to move on to Mariner, but Kang brings up another great point. I know.
Boimler!
I know. All Boims.
Yes!
Kang writes, Boim is on the Riker path. I didn't think about this, but it's a great point. Riker was a huge rush to become a captain until he got comfortable on the Enterprise and turned down a captaincy like 4 fucking times.
Comfortable on the Enterprise.
I mean, yeah, it's the
flagship. His girlfriend was there.
He got abducted. He got cloned.
He did have it rough on that ship. He did have it.
He got cloned way before the Enterprise.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Then in a series about aliens, he gets abducted by aliens nobody even knows about.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. He got
I want to know what the hell is going
on. Comfortable.
Thank you for bringing us back to reality, Giraffe. Let's talk about Mariner and her reluctance, right? Because she's always resisted authority. We know this. It is in every season. So yeah, how does she cope with being promoted? We know how she copes. She literally throws her pip at Jack. It's like, I don't want this. Take it back. But when she does get it and she has her moments with Jack in the Moopsie episode, I have no bones yet I must flee. This whole season again is really about Mariner and her push and pull with, one, her past trauma and also the responsibilities of, playing kind of a central role in her arc for that this season. What are your thoughts on Mariner's reluctance, Hawk?
Well, I mean, her character arc was, it was heartbreaking. It was also the biggest sucker punch this series had for us, because we see Mariner going through the kind of the same bullshit and that, it's like she doesn't want her promotion. She's actively fighting it, and she goes to Ferenginar. She just gets trashed to the point where her best friend Ferengi Pal has to basically, pay for all the damages. And she owes him a lot.
An incredible amount of latinum.
Yeah. And then you get that sucker punch in episode 9, where it's there is trauma there, and this is the bullshit that she's been trying to sort through in that. And she's in a position where it's people want her to advance, but she doesn't want to advance because she doesn't want to place herself in a position where she's ordering people out to their deaths.
Yeah.
And this is why it's a great explanation for all the crazy behavior in that, throwing herself out in front of on top of the grenade before anybody else can get hurt.
Yeah.
And I think her story this year, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Draft.
I mean, I think since episode 1 of Lower Decks, we've been, what's her deal?
Yeah.
What's her deal? I'm here for not wanting to be promoted. Don't get promoted. It's a scam. They just give you more work. I'm here for this. I've been promoted against my will so many times. So I respect that. But there's so many nuggets through these 4 seasons that tells you that there's something else and that nobody wants to address, or her parents definitely don't want to address it, 1000%. And then people don't really know what's going on with her. I was convinced she was a spy too until the episode Mugatu, I was like, she's a spy. She's Black Ops. But from all the little nuggets of information from, oh, she was on DS9, from she has been like a Starfleet kid and been here and there. And like, I think she even drops on one point that she lost her whole crew to like a parasite.
She did,
a friend.
Yeah,
a friend.
They're literally at the bar
dies.
drinking. Yeah.
Like, and you're like, nobody addresses it. It's like, she's messed up. There's something deep that has totally flipped the way she sees things. And at the beginning of season 4, I was kind of done with the teasing. I was like, I want to know if she's just a mess to be a mess. I'm going to be so disappointed because Lower Deck has always been good at developing their characters in a very deep way while remaining humorous. And I didn't want her to just be, the funny, messy black friend. Like, it's just like, give her something. And I feel season 4 is so incredible for the fact that they managed to put everything together to make a character that makes so much sense in every single one of the decision, every single one of the attitude she threw, every jokes, every I love the brig makes sense when you get to the end of season 4. And I don't think a lot of shows can flatter themselves that to have built a character that makes so much sense after 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Because it was a long burn.
It was.
And what a beautiful way to address all the messed up shit we see Star Trek do over and over to people. I mean, fake people. They don't exist for real, but you know what I mean. Like,
we still love them like they're real.
Huh?
We love them like they're real people.
Yeah, but most of the time they don't react like real people. Let's be honest.
No.
Like, Wesley Crusher does not react like a real person to all the shit that happens to him in TNG for a long time. Then better, like in Prodigy, let's say that he makes more sense.
I want to read this point from Dana real quick. Mariner definitely has neglected child syndrome that makes it tough to share her feelings effectively until they become too big or she's called out on it. And I want to bring up this point about her real quick, and once MCs goes, I'm gonna actually switch things up on the show a little bit. Mariner is a great example of what would have happened to Nog if Nog did not have the support system of his DS9 family, right? Like, that family brought him back from the brink. You got to imagine as a Starfleet kid during the Dominion War and maybe being on DS9 at that point, or, and on the Keto, like, she was away from her mom and dad. She was between crews. She was serving a lot of places. She did not have their support, and she felt every bit of it and did go down, I think, that path that Nog would have gone down.
I'm not certain, because she is very Starfleet until what happens in the academy, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that a little bit like Boimler, and that's why she's hyper protective of Boimler also. A little bit like Boimler, she was sold the Starfleet way, we're doing good. We're the good guys, and we have values, and we're gonna be here for you, and so on and so on. And I think that, maybe neglected child, maybe, but then, like, she was into the Starfleet. It makes me think of that episode of Picard where he's talking to the ensigns, or like and he's like, oh, now you have a family, your Starfleet family. Yeah. I feel Mariner, like, bought that 1000%. And that was her coping mechanism. Like, she was not alone. She was with, Kira and like on DS9 and Quark and all these people. She has friends, she has support. But then what happened is that people that tell you, we're your family, we're here for you, you're gonna do great thing, then murder your friend. And that,
well, they murder your friend, but you also just, you're a young officer going through, and she's older than Boymes and Tendi and Rutherford, but
absolutely,
but you're still a young officer going through the not the motions, the pain and the death and the just complete and total awfulness of the Dominion War. Like, I think that I obviously the Cedo thing, we find out, we're going to talk a lot about this in a second, really fucked with her. But I think serving in the Dominion War and having her parents kind of be like big time Starfleet captains and admirals, like, may have had a big effect on her too, to make her act like this.
I don't know. I feel like if you drink the Kool-Aid, you drink the Kool-Aid, you know?
Yeah. MC,
And until
sorry.
something breaks your heart. But yeah, MC.
Yeah, MC.
Yes, I am still here. I feel like this season gave Mariner like several reasons why she was so reluctant to get promoted. Like, first of all, in the Moopsy episode, which, you know, we all love, it did really, Mariner came off like somebody who has a fear of commitment because she's afraid to be left, because she is very much like, she doesn't want to be promoted because she thinks that she's going to lose that promotion. And we don't know the circumstances of her losing her previous promotions, because I feel like it's actually been several times that she's been promoted that she's lost it. Well, I mean, I know like at least once on in Lower Decks, because she was promoted to lieutenant in season 1.
Yep.
And lost that. The thing with Cedo, I mean, she's a freshman, right? Like she's a freshman when Cedo dies, and I was just doing some math, and I think I probably did this when we did the finale of season 4. So forgive me if I'm saying the same thing over again. But we do know that she was on Deep Space Nine, because and specifically was on Deep Space Nine when Deep Space Nine was actually happening, because she mentioned, you know, messing up Worf's, or needing to replace Worf's mek'leth, and the whole thing with Quark's head on Kira's body. So she was there during that time. And so if she was there 4 years after season 5 of, you know, Next Generation, like, she was like fresh out of the academy for the Dominion War. Like, that was the first thing that she did, was be on the front lines of the Dominion War.
Do you think she was following her parents, or was she? Because we don't really know if she was like assigned there. Do we know?
I'm almost positive that she was assigned there, because.
Are we talking about the Keto or DS9?
DS9.
It's a throwaway line, but she definitely is like, yeah, she was serving on DS9. Tony's like, you served on DS9? She's like, oh yeah, I thought I told you that. So yeah.
And I mean, even if she was there with her parents, she still would have been on the front lines of the Dominion War. But I do think she was serving there. And I think that, and this is something else I've said before, Starfleet really needs better therapists, because this is a woman who obviously has PTSD several times over. And has not like, the only time she's dealt with it is with a Klingon while stranded on a planet.
Yeah.
And her mother's not really doing anything about it. They're just trying to work out their own relationship, and not the fact that Mariner has gone through all of these like terrible things, and she tries to hide it behind, you know, this insubordinate nature. But there's so much pain there.
Yeah.
That it makes it less funny.
Yeah. I talked earlier about changing up the show a little bit. We're all bringing up such great points about Mariner. I don't want to go away from that and come back to her, because we're going to talk about it in the show later. So we're gonna stick with Mariner. We're gonna come back to Tendi and Rutherford getting promoted in a little bit. But we've been talking for the past however minutes, right, about, you know, Mariner's, it's her emotional vulnerability and her growth this season, because she definitely goes through both. As we know, we've just been talking about internal conflicts, right? During the 3 seasons, and again, like a lot this season, always kind of being presented as that rebellious, very independent officer. But all throughout the season, in the beginning, the middle, and especially the end, when we get the Cedo bomb, you know, she goes through those vulnerabilities like at each part of the season. Like, how do you guys feel that season 4 handled her finally getting there? Because I think there were definitely points where you're like, oh shit, they're gonna do this again. But once they put the bow on it, it was like, well, fuck, they hit it out of the park. Hawk.
God, I don't even know where to start.
What was that question? What's the question?
How did the show handle Mariner going through like her emotional vulnerability throughout each section of the season, the beginning, the middle, and the end?
Very well.
Yeah, definitely very well. It started out in some familiar territory, episode 2 with really wanting to tank the new promotion and that, so showing up in like gym clothes and that for a mission. But still, for all intents and purposes, not she always succeeds whatever the task she's given. It's the arc over to like over to her like confession about like Ceto, Jaxa, and like her seeing Starfleet. Because there was 2 incidences, like seeing Ceto, who being put into the position of being a spy for the Federation. She's like, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be out exploring the galaxy and finding this and doing science stuff and that. And then finding herself in the exact same position when she was actually, as a new ensign and that, on DS9 in the Dominion War. She was supposed to be an explorer and a scientist and that, and then they made her a soldier. The fact that she stuck it out this long, like in Starfleet, says something that about her connection to it. I don't know. It's beyond.
It says she has mommy issues.
It's mommy issues is that, but it's
she also trashes her dad's office in Starfleet Command, so probably daddy issues too.
It's true, but for her, again, like hers was the best character arc of the entire season, and that because she does wind up in a place at the end where she is like, if not, cured of these things and that, at least able to talk about this and like say, like, I've been going through a rough spot. This is why I've been doing this. Really, yeah, she's had the best emotional arc this season out of anybody.
Yeah. Draft.
As I said, very well. But it begs the question, how many times did Mariner go through that?
Yeah.
In other places with other people. And it just happened that this time maybe she has the right people around her. But after the shit show of, sending her to Starbase 80, not believing her and all this, I feel that maybe she has enough I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah,
enough meat to be able to handle explaining all this and going through that again with people that will this time understand what she means and understand what she went through. I feel that every time she lost a promotion before that was because she came to that same breaking point. But the people around her didn't know her enough, and she maybe didn't have the enough resilience to be able to go through that explanation and still stay with these people after, like opening her heart to them. I feel she also feel a moment of not shame, but like, how am I gonna deal with these people now that they know my deep insecurity or my deep trauma? That's the hardest things. Once you put yourself out there and you tell people, yeah, I'm scared, I've been hurt, these things happened to me. You're like, how do these people are gonna still look at me and still be my friend or still be here for me without like, tiptoeing around me? And I think I'm very happy they did that in season 4 and not in the final season.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine finishing on this, because I think that's maybe the first time that Mariner is able to stay there and still be with these people without it being weird, without it being difficult for her, or without feeling like she's not in her place anymore. And that's important because that involves her mom. And after everything again that happened to Starbase 80, she's very resilient. Like, I'd be like, bye, never talking to any of you. Ghost. But yeah, it's again, very good season and very good character arcs.
Yeah. MC?
Well, if you go back and check the tapes, I was incredibly frustrated.
You were.
With
That's what I was talking
Mariner.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it did feel like they were continuously hitting the same notes with every episode. Now, I think going back and rewatching the season and knowing where it ended up, it works incredibly well. But if you're just watching episode by episode, it can get very frustrating. And I think that's part of the issue of Lower Decks being mostly episodic, but then also having, this, it kind of being this hybrid of episodic, but also having this overarching plot that gets, settled in the last episode, which is very much like Deep Space Nine in a way. But since you only have 10 episodes to do stuff with Mariner, it becomes that's every single episode that seems to be the major drive with her. But then actually, and on the next point on Mariner, I can go into this more, but going back, I have found other things that they did with Mariner. It's just, it's never when she's a main character in the plot.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I'm going to kind of combine these last 2 points here because I think a lot of, like, we've already answered a lot of some of these other talking points, but there's definitely a point in the season. I think it is in Hearth Ferengi Hard Place where she almost does give up, right? But it's that growth, like the challenges that she's been through and the challenges she's been on the Cerritos. How do those challenge her both to kind of reassess her place in Starfleet, kind of like what you were talking about with Draft, with her friends? And do you think that there was a specific scene or moment in season 4 where she was finally able to kind of let her guard down and begin trusting people again? Hawk.
Typical moment where she lets her guard down and starts trusting people again. It's hard to pinpoint one. I mean, like, everything comes to that point to, like, in episode 9, and then she's thrown into, like, Nick Locarno's hands and has a whole other situation to deal with. I feel like it's not really until the final moment that when she's walking down the hallway and that and talking about, like, I've been going through some stuff, in the last few months, and that she's really able to kind of finally really open up to her friends, which is very sad, but I mean, like, it does give us our, as viewers, it does give us, like, so many great Mariner moments from this season, but it really not until, like, she had to go through all that nonsense with Locarno looking, he was kind of a good focal point in that for, like, that the two sides of that coin and that, right?
Yeah, it's we're going to talk about him a lot later, but it's definitely like it's like kind of the yin and yang, like kind of how I was talking about Nog. Nick Locarno, Mariner could have been a Nick Locarno if she really wanted to kind of go down that darker path. That's a great point.
Yeah. That's all I really got.
Cool.
Right now.
Yeah, Draft.
I think Nick Locarno needs a male ego to become Nick Locarno. I don't think Mariner could be bothered enough to go through
That's
that whole
fair.
thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Yeah.
Like,
True.
I'd be like, oh, evil genius, but this is so much work. Nah.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Yeah.
Seems like a full-time job. When she start trusting again, oh, that's a good question. I'm not certain she totally does. She would be stupid too. Never trust everybody fully. Oh, only trust yourself. I no.
No,
Do you
I
she
think
fully
there is-
trusts-
Well, there is a good counterpoint to this in Caves. Like, Caves shows that, like, all of them still had stuff that they still kept to themselves, and that the others were a little offended about. It's like, why
male
wouldn't you share that?
pregnancy.
So many things. Yeah. I do think there are a couple of moments, but I think it also, like, again, kind of going back to that first question, she still has to go through it even though she does start to let those guard downs, like at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the season, I think there's moments in each of those where she does kind of let that down, but still has to kind of like go through the pain and try to kill herself to be like, fuck, this just isn't working.
I think also she trusts people when they are able to show her their soft spot, their weaknesses. Like when Talin is, like not able to be Talin and showing that she has insecurity, that she's doubting, that she's unwell, then Mariner like totally is here for her. And I think I'm not certain. Like, I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah.
I don't think she's totally at the point of like still.
And that's fair too. Yeah. What about you?
I think the thing is that nobody trusts everybody. Yeah. And nobody trusts people all of the time. So I don't think that there's ever going to be a, yes, Mariner is open to everybody about everything. I think in terms of when does Mariner start trusting people again? By people, she only needs to trust one person. And that happens in Tuvix, like with that conversation with Boimler about how Boimler is so, guilty about everything that happened with Starbase 80. Yeah. And Mariner trusts Boimler, and Mariner is able to talk to Boimler about, the idea of, him being promoted and everything. And I think that this is definitely why Mariner is nothing like Nick Locarno, is that Mariner is incredibly empathetic. Yeah. And this is also, I was going to bring up the scene with Talin, so thank you for bringing that up, Giraffe. But Mariner has a lot of moments like that this season, when she's talking to Boimler, when she's talking to Talin, when she's talking to Tendi in the Orion episode.
Rutherford with the Badgie episode.
Yep. With the Badgie episode, yeah. No, with all of the main characters, she has a moment where she talks to them, and she is showing them incredible empathy. And this, for me, is, after having that huge rant about Boimler and being a captain, this is why I think that Mariner is going to be the best captain out of all of them. Yeah. Because she is somebody who
doesn't want it.
Yep.
But she is able to. She's a very charismatic person, and she is somebody who is able to make connections with people on a very emotional level. And she's able to talk to them in a way that they need to be talked to. Yeah. So while I think she is charmingly insubordinate, as it said in the trailer, there is just this beautiful heart in Mariner that she does show with the people who have earned it.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
She's gonna be a good captain also because, like, she doesn't trust Starfleet.
Yeah. She's gonna be a Jean-Luc type of captain, I think. Like a little bit more like, bend the rules a little bit. Like almost like a Kirk Picard hybrid.
So a Janeway?
So a Janeway. Yeah, a Janeway. Great point. Sorry. Yeah, a Janeway. A Janeway, yeah. Yeah. I like that. Okay. For me, like, I do agree with both of you about how, like, she does have those moments with her friends, and, like, I think that's very important too. But even though she still is this chaos energy and has to be like destructive with herself throughout episodes of the season, there's like the three key points in me that I think are very obvious, like I not obvious, like, oh, like you should get this, but like that Mike McMahon and the team kind of throws at you. One's in I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee, like with Jack. Like Jack does have her back, and we've talked about this before, that Jack and Mariner do have a relationship. They've known each other for a long time. And I think that she kind of really realizes that. I'm not going to say it.
We did an entire episode.
On it. Go listen to that one. I think that she does finally be like, okay, he has my back, right? And then when she is on Ferenginar and she almost, like, dude, like, if you really think about that episode, she could have lost it all right then and there, but she didn't. She had, yet again, another great friend who was there to protect her and help her out, who kind of instills the fear of God in her. It's like, you're gonna kill yourself. Like, this is not good. And then, of course, she does try to kill herself on these missions of like taking all these dangerous missions. But then, and it's Ma'at, right? Ma'at, right? Then she's got Ma'at, where she just totally lets this all go to, right? And then Nick Locarno kind of like almost like looking in the mirror, but not like you guys said, is like, holy shit, like, I think I am where I belong. And yeah, you don't need to trust everybody, but you do have a support system. And I think for the first time in Lower Decks, she finally realizes that. That's right, and I think by the finale, that's very apparent. And I 100% agree about you guys with her being the best captain. I completely think I would not be surprised if in episode 10 it's like it ends with her as captain, like going to the sunset on a different ship. I would kind of love that.
But also
personally.
let people not be promoted. Like, come on.
That's true too. Yeah.
Come on.
Let's go all the way back to, because we skipped over Rutherford and Tendi. We're going to talk about Tendi a lot more later, but they get the promotions in their own ways. Rutherford literally just asks, like, can I have a pip because I turned it down that one time, and he gets his. But
one time, like three
several
times,
right? But they both embrace leadership and they're growing technical expertise, right? Tendi gets distracted by shit going on Orion, though, which is a whole nother thing. How did their promotions kind of, reflect their individual growth, Hawk?
Well, Rutherford, I don't think his promotion really affected him in any particular way. He's still Rutherford. It's like if he's going through any struggle, it's basically just trying to the only struggle I really saw him go through was with Levick and that like outdoing him at every turn and that, and him bashing his head against the wall trying to come up with some sort of little minor modification that could increase the output engine, the ship efficiency by 0.2%. And then finding out that he has been offered promotion after promotion after promotion for a laundry list of things he's done throughout the last 4 seasons, and it makes sense. But for personal growth, I don't think the promotion really does.
I would
anything
agree with that.
him.
Yeah. Jim McMahon in the chat goes, poor Levick, to which I say, no, Levick's a dick.
Levick is a dick.
Levick's a dick.
Yeah.
He hates Rutherford and Tendi. Like, he's terrible.
Yeah.
The fact that like Rutherford just stole his promotion away from him and that, like, it was so good. It was
felt
so
good.
funny.
Yeah. Giraffe.
These promotions were kind of weird, to be honest. Tendi, I feel, is the only one that actually worked toward a promotion.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And like went through a program to get a promotion. Had like Miglimo.
There you go. No Miglimo erasure, Gene.
Help, I don't know, guide her, quotation mark, I don't know. Like, she listened to Tiana. She tries to learn. She tries to get better at things. She tries to learn things that she doesn't know how to do and go through the whole, like, junior officer, what is it, program and so on.
Oh, yeah, the senior science officer training program. Yeah.
And then she gets promoted. I'm like, yeah, makes sense. What did the other do? Like,
I mean, I think Rutherford definitely earned his too. I think those two did. I don't think necessarily that Mariner. I mean, maybe Boymes. I don't know.
That's the problem with the command track.
Yeah. I agree. This is a problem with the command track. Like, they're there, so they've been here long enough, which is a year, so you get a pip. It's like when you get like in French national education, like number of year you do like you get like grades, and even if you do nothing, you still get it. Yeah, like you're just still here. So I guess you came to work every day. Here's a promotion. But like for me, the most enigmatic one is Rutherford, because was it season 3 where we learn why he has the implant and so on? Yeah. Since season 3 and all that revelation with him and all the thing with the Texas class and all this, Rutherford has been stagnating.
I think we mentioned like reviewing season 4 last year that Rutherford kind of got the shit end of the stick this season.
He's just here, and he kind of like he enjoys being here. He's good at his job, but he doesn't really have a plan. Like he doesn't, not that you need a plan, but you know, like we all have desires and ambitions and goals. What's Rutherford's goals except being with Tandy?
It's a great point.
He doesn't have an ego, and he doesn't have an ambition in that.
But everybody has like, I mean, he's still a person.
Yeah.
You can't, and he's young.
Yeah.
They're what, like the 25 max? And he's just here. He's happy. I mean, I kind of like, it makes me feel of these people who like, you know, do everything by the book, like of life. You know, you get married at that age, you have your kid at that age, you get your job, you get your picket fence and so on, and then go absolutely mental and disappear to go road tripping, and then are like become the guru of a religion somewhere. And I feel Rutherford needs. I feel the revelation of everything that happened to him kind of killed his drive.
100%.
You remember when he was like trying to find like a different position and trying other things? Like he has created a super virus that almost murdered everybody. Murdered everybody. and then everybody was kind of like, oh.
And that was for 10D2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, get over it, man. Like, you need something for you. And I don't know what happens when, you know, like they all move on to different ships. Like, what's his deal? He's going to stay on the Cerritos for all his career?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily that, but I mean, there's this naivety to him, and it's like he's almost like a fully formed kind of person. You know, it's almost yeah, I know, but at the same time, this is the same guy who just found out his pants had pockets and that, and it was just stunned by the revelation and that. It's for some reason it's like this kind of like this naive purity in that people are almost a little envious of. You know, it's zen in a certain way. I think he's going to be fine.
We were all shocked that he had pockets.
But it's like, you know, it's saying that Bellana has like suddenly pockets to put like pants when she's pregnant.
When she's pregnant, yeah.
And I'm like, wait, where was that thing before? But if any of my friend were in his situation, I'd be really worried. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to do anything? What do you mean you're fine here? What do you mean you're just gonna do that until the end of time? Yeah.
Well,
okie dokie.
And Geek Filter brings up a point here, though, that I kind of agree with. He just wants to tinker. And I get that as, like, an engineer, right? Like, he just wants to build shit and he wants to, like, make things better. And I mean, it's like, did Geordi LaForge have, like,
yeah.
Did he?
Geordi LaForge was
he just wanted to make the
like,
Enterprise the best it could possibly be. I think that's kind of the same for
but
Rutherford.
He had like he was trying to find a girlfriend. He was like
so is Rutherford.
So is Rutherford.
No, Rutherford just wants Tandy. And like I don't know, he had opinions about things. He would get into fights. He would discuss like different shit that was not his purview with people. With Guinan, he would have opinions about other stuff on the ship. He would get interested in other stuff. He would go and like, you know, not tinker only about engineering. He was like a person that had goals and interests and like fears and stuff. He was just not just here.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I'm scared for Rutherford. I'm worried. My man.
I do get it. But I also see I do see the engineering aspect of like, I just want to build shit. And if things go my way, things go my way.
I understand if you're 50 with a garage and you're like building shit. I don't understand if you're 25 on a spaceship.
Fair. Yeah. MC?
I mean, just going back to Giraffe had been talking about the promotion system that does not exist. I actually think that Starfleet has two leveling systems, and they come from D&D. One is the milestone leveling system, and the other one is experience points. Because you do have people Are you okay?
I just love that we went there. It's yeah.
But yeah, we have people like Mariner and Boimler and Tendi who basically get promoted mostly because you guys have just been here for a while and you've been doing your job really well. And then you have Rutherford who gets promoted. Like all of the promotions that he mentioned are all for like major events because it's like when they took the hull plating off of the Cerritos and basically every single major thing that happened, even though a couple of them were kind of his faults.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely true. And in terms of Rutherford, like having no ambition, I don't think that Rutherford has no ambition. I think that Rutherford absolutely wants to be chief engineer, or he wants to run off into the sunset with Billups like he did in Crisis Point, which, no judgment. And yeah, with Tendi's promotion is something that because we've mostly been talking about Rutherford, and I think that's because Tendi's plot absolutely doesn't have to do with getting a promotion. Tendi got a promotion because everybody else got a promotion.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Well, in terms of the storytelling, because they don't really do anything with her in her job. Like Tendi absolutely has story, but it doesn't have to do with her being a science officer.
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like for every season of this show that we've reviewed, like we've talked about like how Tendi's probably going to be the one that like continues to go up the ladder while maybe like they don't, because she does, like Giraffe was just saying, like she does go and earn it, and she does have the mentors, whether again Megalamu is a good mentor or not. Like they do show. I think the show he's not. I think the show does show that growth.
Well, I think that happens in seasons 1, 2, and 3. I think in season 4, her storyline is not focused on her career. It is more about her.
That's very true.
Her personal story, and in rewatching it, there's not a lot of episodes where she's actually doing her job. And I'm not saying like that she wasn't doing her job. I'm saying that just for, what they were showing, what was more important for Tendi was, the personal things. And also they had another science officer character that was kind of even more suited for taking on the science role, because T'Lyn, like that's her thing. I'm not trying to bash Tendi when I say any of this. And I actually think this is good for her, because for a long time she was so focused on being a science officer, and we knew that there was this, mistress of the winter constellation thing that she was denying. And by having her incorporate that more into her Starfleet career is something that will make her, not only makes her a better character, but makes her a more well-rounded officer, because we have talked about how Tendi might be the first captain. I mean, we have been talking about Mariner as captain, but we had said that Tendi could very well become a captain. And I think like if we're going to have a badass, science captain, I want her to also be the mistress of the winter constellation and actually accept that part of herself. So
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Nice. You brought up T'Lyn, which is a great segue into our next section, which is talking about T'Lyn, her addition to the crew in season 5. We had a whole season in between her introduction in season 2. So she,
what a tease.
Her addition, her struggle to kind of fit in. It's at Vulcan logic versus Cerritos chaos. She, I wrote in here that she kind of feels out of place on a chaotic ship like the Cerritos, but I think she also does feel at place a little bit, but she does struggle to blend in with this kind of like emotionally driven crew. I want to get you guys' take also, because like I can't say it. Somebody say it for me.
Pathological fallacies.
Thank you. Is really her. I couldn't do it. It just wasn't coming out of my mouth. Was her big episode, right? And throughout every episode kind of leading up to that one, she does have a straight-faced approach that is obviously like comedic for us because haha, Vulcan not getting the thing always funny, sometimes not. And while it's comedic, it does hide this kind of like deeper issue of, again, not fitting in with the Cerritos culture and also getting kicked off her ship. I want to get your guys' take on how that all, like, one, those first few episodes of her being on the ship and trying to like, make friends, but then it all kind of coming to a head of like it not working and her kind of releasing that mental energy onto the ship and realizing that, maybe she does fit in here. Hawk.
Yeah, T'Lyn is such an interesting character in that, and it kind of emphasizes about how Vulcans basically the big emphasis in Vulcan life is conformity. Conformity to logic, conformity to like Vulcan way, traditions and that, and it's a taxing lifestyle. We've seen its effect on Spock. To examine it through T'Lyn's eyes in Lower Decks has been really fascinating. She thinks she wants to rejoin her old crew. She thinks that initially she thought this was some kind of a punishment in that, until she starts to realize that this is something she's a little more comfortable with. In episode 3, the way she reached out to Boimler and that when he was struggling and that to give him advice, and remind him that, that you can't do it all yourself. The command is just that. You have to be able to command and you have to be able to delegate. She seems to be able to step in at moments when characters are in crisis and that, and provide like, a more compassionate kind of empathetic like viewpoint than you would expect from a typical Vulcan. She was charting like Orion culture and that, for the first time, and that, and Tendi gets super nervous about everything that's on that report. She just chucks it away. It's a completely illogical move for her, and yet she does it anyways. It's hard to describe. It's no wonder she has become such a fan favorite so quickly in this season, because like for whatever reasons, and she is very much a lower decker in spirit.
Yeah. Trev?
So Gabriel Ruiz, amazing. Who played along and brought us drink at Star Trek Las Vegas with our yard cups from that episode. We also FaceTime her parents. So
that's so funny.
I feel like T'Lyn is a character that, again, it's a character so complex that gets barely touched on, but everything we get adds so much to the building of that character. I mean, it's a demotion, right? It's a horrible demotion because she's not only demoted, she's sent away to people that are not her people. Like, and going to another country, going to another culture is hard. It's fun for like a few weeks, and then you're like, I'm tired of all this. I want to go back somewhere where I understand everything. I know what people are doing. I know the food. I know the system. I'm tired. And that's when you start crying a lot, and then it goes better. But she's sent away, and she's sent to people that are, let's be honest, below our capacity. Like she's sent to like the special ed class, basically, for Vulcans. And that must be so hurtful because it's made to tell her that she is less. It's not made like, oh, you're going to be freer and you're going to be happier. No, it's like
you're going to be miserable, and that's what we want. Yeah.
But no, I don't even think they send her there to be miserable. They'd be like, you can't read good. You're going to go over there. I don't think her captain was like, you're gonna go and you're gonna suffer. I think they're like, oh, she's,
I don't know. That guy was a
not there yet.
dick. Like,
so
I don't.
she's
Yeah.
gonna go to the humans, and then she's gonna be at level. I feel it's more, and I think that's how she takes it also, until she realized that, well, they're all people and they're all actually, like achieving.
She says it to Boimler on the planet. Like, I read through all your logs.
Yeah.
Like, these promotions weren't like random.
But-
like, you earned them in some way or another. Yeah.
It's basically like what they did to Mariner, sending her to Starbase 80.
Right.
It's just like, you're gonna go there because you're useless and because you're a liar and because you're a problem, and they're all liars and they're all useless and they're all liars, and it was made to get rid of her, but also to humiliate her in a way, and I think like Tallinn is so strong because you realize that this really is affecting her. Episode 5 episode 4, 5, and it's so horrible to be rejected by your crew. That was her crew, right?
Yeah.
And like people that most probably she was looking, like, she saved, by the way, like, just FYI, and I think that when she arrives on the Cerritos, it's the same thing than Mariner. Nobody really realized the complexity and the trauma and the anxiety, that the sadness, the rejection, all the thing that she is bearing inside as a good Vulcan, right? That at one moment or another is going to boil up and for her literally make her sick.
Yeah.
Which is so true of, when you bottle up and basically you have good mental, fortitude and good mental, exercises that you're not, losing it, but your body gets sick. And that's exactly what happens with Tallinn. And I thought it was so smart to address it. And to be honest, Star Trek has not been very good at portraying Vulcans lately. And I think this is the most interesting, the most, how can I say that, subtle and I don't know, human in a way.
It's hard to get around that word with her, right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's not just piling on Vulcans either. I think her captain thought he was doing the right thing.
Mhm.
He didn't want her to suffer. He wanted her to be happy with people that could
Can I ask you a very random question?
Yeah.
Do you think that Spock thought he was doing the right thing when he ejected Kirk off the Enterprise in Star Trek 2009? Like, literally on an ice planet that he knew nothing about. I'm kind of looking at it the same way, because like, the dude sending her to fucking Starfleet after she saved the ship, and Kirk had just done some good things aboard the Enterprise too. And Spock's like, nope, you're insubordinate, bye.
I don't think he thinks she insubordinate. I think that he thinks that she cannot realize her full potential with the people around her, but he never explains that to her. And I think he's right in the idea that she needs another set of people around her to really become, to really grow. But the thing is that, first, it's never explained to her. Second, in Vulcan culture, she's in the Vulcan explore. It's my turn not to be able to say word.
Exploratory
corps, right?
Yeah.
It's called, which is what Michael wanted to do and didn't get in. Remember? So she's good. She is good. And for her, we felt like if you don't explain to people what you send them away, it just sounds like I'm being punished. I'm not enough. I did a mistake. And again, the communication was not great. And also, again, leaving your people and your culture is hard.
Yeah.
Imagine aliens. She doesn't even have the same biology as the people around her. It's not only she doesn't speak the language or she doesn't know the culture. She's another species of humanoids or like whatever.
One thing that I think was a missed opportunity in season 4, that's a great point you just brought up, though, is that I wonder if like she did at any point like seek out the other Vulcans on board the Cerritos, because we know they're there.
We know there's a few.
I wonder if that
we're
was
the Chaos Vulcan also.
Yeah,
You remember that?
yeah.
But maybe not. And the thing is that maybe she didn't think about it. It's interesting. Like, and Michael also, like, it takes her forever to go to Nivar when she's in the future, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you look for your people?
Yeah.
But I feel T'Lyn is. I hope they write a book. I would like to read
I would love a T'Lyn book
about T'Lyn. Yeah.
Vulcan is a motherfucker.
Exactly.
MC.
Okay, first of all, I have to address the Star Trek 09 question because I haven't brought up Kelvinverse yet this episode.
I did it for you.
Yeah, Spock abandoning on the ice planet. I think that was a little extreme. Like, why don't they have a brig? But absolutely, Kirk should have been put somewhere
that ship has a brig.
For fact.
I mean, yeah, they show it in Into Darkness too. But yeah, Kirk should have not been on the bridge because one, he was a freaking stowaway and he was basically trying to start a mutiny, and then eventually he succeeds in his mutiny. So yes, absolutely, like, send him away.
But on
the topic of T'Lyn, because I adore T'Lyn, in terms of her actually coming to the Cerritos, I don't think it's a punishment, but I also don't think it's a here, let's go put you with people who you'll get along with better. I honestly think it's one of those Vulcan lessons where it's like T'Lyn has problems with her emotionality. And so I think that her captain was like, you are having trouble controlling your emotions. Here is a group of people that are nothing but emotions. So this is why you need to be able to control them. So it's not meant to be cruel, but it is supposed to be a lesson for her. And her being uncomfortable being there, I totally get it. And because obviously, like, even by Starfleet standards, like, the Cerritos is pretty bad. But her eventually fitting in, I think it comes down to respect. Like, we saw her on her Vulcan ship. They did not respect her. Like, she was the smartest person there. And I don't know about her captain, but I definitely think the other officers were threatened by her because she was able to think in a way that they weren't, because they were so strictly Vulcan that they could not accept that, they were always inside of the box and she thought outside of the box. And that is something that was threatening to them. And meanwhile, on the Cerritos, that is completely respected. Like, they're accepting of everybody. I mean, like, even Miglimu has friends on the Cerritos, and he's trusted enough that he's given mentorship of Tendi, who is one of, like, the favorite people on the ship. So, of course, T'Lyn is going to find people that she fits in with, and she's such a competent officer that she makes them look better. That, yeah, she's gonna do great. I mean, she's barely there a few weeks before she gets promoted.
Yeah.
So yeah. She great on the Cerritos.
I just do have to say, like, I think it was just not a good fit for her on her ship. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the captain understood her. I don't think, like you said, the other crew, like, I don't think in any Star Trek that we've ever seen that it's been wrong for Vulcans to have a hunch or to, like, be stuck on, like, I don't think it's, like, illogical, to use that word, I think, properly, for her to want to, be, I don't want to say stuck, but, like, glued to this idea that she has about, like, fixing the shields. Like, I don't think that that's un-Vulcan. I think she just had a captain that didn't, in Vulcan terms, didn't give a shit, and a crew that just wanted to do everything by the book. I think there are definitely Vulcans who don't like to Pring's dad, I feel like is a good example of a Vulcan who probably is like a T'Lyn type. Like there's Vulcans out there who are like
ETF.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have to say, and I say this as somebody who absolutely loves Vulcans, I think that there is nothing more toxic in Star Trek than an all Vulcan ship. Like, I mean, we also saw this in Deep Space Nine.
I want to see them so bad.
They bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Well, we saw two like Federation Vulcan, like Starfleet Vulcan ship. One gets blown up and die in the one with the giant space amoeba, where Spock feels them all dying in TOS. That's the first one, and then the second one is
Take me out to the holosuite.
And they're all absolutely berserk and insane. And you're like, I need to know more. I need to know more. I want to know more.
I want to talk about, my next question was kind of how T'Lyn interacted with, a bunch of the lower deckers, but I actually just want to take this question and really focus it on her relationship with Mariner, who I really think helps her come to I think becomes her bestie. Like, I know, they really wanted to, tease us with, it'll be Tendi and T'Lyn, and as, MC
Tendi
made the perfect
so
sticker.
bad.
Tendi wanted it so bad. Science buddies, blue shirt besties, but it was really Mariner and T'Lyn who became good friends and had that camaraderie. I just want you guys to talk about that relationship because I thought it was a really big part of this season.
Yeah, we're all obviously talking about empathological fallacies and that, where they really, in a moment of crisis and that, they were really able to help each other in that. We'd seen T'Lyn help out other officers at this point and that, and show that kind of side of her where it was empathic and, even a little more human in that. She was always there to help them when they were at their low points. But in this case, she was at a low point herself, having discovered quite by accident that she was the cause of all the chaos on the ship. Her, who was supposed to be kind of a stabilizing factor. She's the one causing all this, and from Bendai syndrome and that. And it's that is a tough thing to learn, that you have Bendai syndrome and that. I mean, that's probably not going to go away for her. It's probably going to come back when she gets older.
Kill her.
Yeah, it might kill her. But the fact that it was brought about because she was in an emotional crisis at that point, with concern over if she fit in there or not. And then in true Lower Decks fashion, it was Mariner reached out to her and said you are Vulcan as a motherfucker, and that Bendai syndrome. Spock's father had that. Damn right. Spock's father had that, and how Vulcan was Sarek. And
questionably Vulcan, to be honest.
Yeah, not exactly father of the year. Yeah.
No, but very, very Vulcan, unfortunately.
With a human kink, just a mile.
Definitely.
Reading human cake, I don't know. He's good at PR. He's good at PR. We're gonna give him that.
Yeah. But it was Mariner telling her, "Fuck your captain, fuck Sokol," whatever his name was, and that Sokol. I can't remember.
Sokol, yeah.
Sokol, yeah.
Sokol, yeah.
And that was, that was the most direct information she needed to hear at that point. I don't think anybody really kind of talked to her about the previous situation she was on with her ship and that, but she let Mariner know, and Mariner tell her, fuck that. Authority is, authority.
Yeah.
Yep. Buck it if you have to. So yeah, I don't have much more to say.
No, it's good. Draft.
I think Mariner she plays immature, but she's the most mature of all of them.
Yeah.
In the idea that she doesn't have the, she doesn't have the pink goggles on anymore. All the other one, they still have the pink goggle on, right? They're still fantasizing about a lot of things. And even if she doesn't want, she plays immature, she knows what up. And she knows what up way better than everybody else. And I think that's something that makes Mariner and Tallinn on the same kind of level. Tallinn is very mature also. She's what, 65?
62.
62. I'm sorry.
3
But,
years,
like,
Hawk. Come on.
but you know what I mean? She is smart. She went through a lot. Again, she's part of the Vulcan Exploratory Corps, like group or whatever it's called. Like, I don't know. Like, she's way more than what you just see. And I think she recognized in Mariner this ability of seeing things and processing situation in a way that is grounded. And I think she respects that. So when Mariner not calls her out, but like tells her, you need to like tell them to fuck off, basically. Who are they to tell you what to do? Who are they to judge you? Who are they to fuck them? I think she respects that because she knows that Mariner like has a good opinion. She's a good judge of personality and able to read people quite well, even if she acts crazy sometimes. But and I think that if Boimler would have told her that, or if Rutherford or Tandy it would not have rang so deep to her as Mariner, because she does respect her. And again, it's also a reference to like an episode that's super tough. It's Sarek, right? The episode is named Sarek.
Yeah, Sarek.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is such a deep episode, again, about, being old, being sick, but also about your position and how people will trust you and how people like rely on you. And when it's important to also be, well, I'm not this person. I need to let somebody do the job. I need the help. I need to accept help from somebody. And I think it's important that Tallinn at that point also accepts the help of Mary and respects it while learning something absolutely horrible. Like it's hard to learn about a diagnosis like this, a diagnosis that, I think Sarek dies from it, right?
Yes.
He does. But
yeah.
I love how Mariner uses that as like a compliment, like a very major compliment for Tallinn, because she's like, dude, he had Bendai syndrome, and he was literally the line, Vulcan is a motherfucker. Your Vulcan is a motherfucker. Like, you're better than all of them. So I really like that a lot. Yeah. MC.
Yeah, but it is a very hard thing to hear that basically
100%.
she's got the Vulcan equivalent of Alzheimer's. I do have to point out, because we keep on mentioning it, it's the Vulcan Expeditionary Group.
Thank you.
In terms of
expeditionary group.
expeditionary, yeah,
group.
And pathological.
Pathological expeditionary group.
I usually just call it the VEG, just to not have to say it. The veg.
Oh, the veg.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
I think we have to go back and look when it comes to Mariner and Tallinn. We have to go back and look at Weydouge, in which Tallinn is the Mariner. Like when they show the when they show the Vulcans and then they show the Klingons, you have Tallinn was the Mariner, the loose cannon on the ship, but in the very Vulcan way. And then you had Ma'at on the Klingon ship, who was very much the Boimler wanting to climb the ladder. And we have these really interesting moments in this season with Mariner, with both of them. And because Mariner is coming up a little bit in front of Tallinn in terms of being able to deal with her place in the world, that she's able to actually talk to Tallinn about, being able to accept the position that she is in. And then later on, Ma'at's able to talk to Mariner about, I know this is getting back into Mariner, but there's so much Mariner stuff. But Ma'at's able to talk to Mariner about her issues, which is something totally that Boimler would do if just Boimler kind of knew what was going on. So I think there's that very interesting dichotomy between the two, where Mariner becomes Tylin's bestie very much because they are the same, just, with, different species aspects going on. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I do definitely know like we do love the whole blue shirt besties, but it is definitely Mariner. And I did bring that up earlier that Mariner does have these beautiful moments with everybody. And Tallinn is, I think, the biggest one. And I think a lot of that does come from the fact that they kind of like, if next season they told us that Captain Sokal was Tallinn's father, I would not be at all surprised.
That would make so much sense. The way that she gave the live long and prosper after live long and prosper. Shit,
like
MC.
Yes, and then you have a pendant with Captain Freeman. I get.
Damn, MC. Damn. I wish I had like a great job button. I don't. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I don't have a great segue other than Nick Locarno. He is not Tom Paris. If you've lived under a rock and you don't know who Nick Locarno is, go watch First Duty. He gets expelled from Starfleet for trying to do the Colbert, not the Colbert because he's a late night host. The
Colbert.
The Colbert, Starburst, whatever.
Supernova.
Everybody gets in trouble. Everybody gets Supernova. Everybody in Nova Squadron gets to stay except for him. He gets expelled. So I want to talk about Nick Locarno kind of being the big bad of this season, his motivation for revenge, right? Because it seems straightforward. He got expelled, so I want revenge. But there's definitely, I think, deeper layers to that motivation as well. Like, I want to get your opinions on how his story also parallels Mariner's own struggle with Starfleet's authority and also expectations. Hawk.
Locarno is that very sobering story, that you tell, recruits and that coming into Starfleet, and big man on campus, legend, calling him a legend at the time, even before like planning this, this very dangerous, illegal maneuver. Right. And then all of it's gone. He's expelled and he's out on his own. And it's stuck with him, not being able to be, to go on to that, that storied career, not being recognized as, another Kirk or another Archer, or another Janeway. He won't have that. The best he could get, he'll be a freighter captain at some point. In seeing that he's behind all these, disappearances of ships and kidnapping of crew, and his big master plan reveal, and that I think there was a reason, like, they chose him, and to kind of intersect with Mariner at this point in time, and that it's how like a narcissist can get their entire like viewpoint distorted, through the failure of not being able to, go up the ranks through what was promised, like Starfleet for him. So he has to go out and be a legend on his own, and that need to do it is what warped him. It made him do this crazy plan.
This is actually an interesting point that I didn't really think of last season or talking about it now. Jim McMahon brings up, didn't Locarno, Tom Paris, offer himself up for expulsion? Which the answer is yes. He does volunteer after everything that happened.
Sure.
He thought he was not going to get exposed.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he did it like being like.
Yeah, I agree with Giraffe. He was probably like, I'm going to throw myself on the sword
because I'm already
and they're
fucked.
going to. Because I'm already fucked, and if I do that, then they're going to say, oh, I'm so great, you are wonderful. We're going to let you stay.
I'm sorry,
Freddy's
such a good boy, and he has such a brilliant future in front of him. I think everybody should be lenient.
You know what? If he had actually come forward at the beginning,
the very beginning.
But then he tried to cover everything up. He tried to get
the first duty of Starfleet is to the truth.
Whether it's historical truth, or scientific truth, or personal truth.
Damn,
Best day
Hog.
I would cover
That's
up
got
a full like
goosebumps.
butt bugs take over the
Yep.
truth. Meh. I want to say first of all, what a year for the Nova Squadron.
I know.
The episode I never thought I would like hear about this much, this and the chase. What a year.
It's definitely been a banner year for like obscure TNG episodes. No, yeah. I don't know, actually. I don't know. First Duty's not obscure.
Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No.
Still, it's like a weird niche thing that like the like two series decided to like latch on, which is interesting anyway. I think Nick Locarno is the definition of the bad people that get breed in a system that is about overachievement. And I think that it's interesting that, you know, First Duty and Lower Decks, like the TNG episodes, that they are chosen for these for Lower Deck. Because Starfleet Academy, first of all, we don't really understand how Starfleet Academy functions. From everything they've told us, it's very nebulous. What is it? Is it like college? When do they enter?
I feel like it's probably like West Point, right? Like almost like the Naval Academy or like, yeah.
Let's be honest, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Fair. Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And then sometimes
I mean, teachers can apparently date students, so
teacher can date students if it's
two.
like helps the plot. You get to a ship when you're a cadet, but sometimes you have to be an ensign, but sometimes you're a cadet and you become an ensign, but sometimes you're a cadet and you become a captain. Like, who knows? Who knows? But in Strange New World, when we see Kirk like being only about being the youngest captain because he wants to stick it to his father and to his brother, it tells you there's a very toxic like environment, especially for command. Again, we talked a lot about this, but that if people want to be leaders and they want to grow into being leaders, fair. Like a lot of people that end up being leaders actually don't want to be leaders. I don't know. Like, but I feel that Nick Locarno had already that seed of ego and of narcissism that got polished by Starfleet Academy to a point where he ended up killing somebody. And I feel that that system, that command system, doesn't really put into their head the necessity of taking care of people more than being, you know, like a Kirk or a Pike, or all the captain that are like on the medals are not great example of leadership. Let's be honest. I mean, they're good leaders, but I don't know that they're great example.
We don't quite know about Pike yet. I feel like we're anxiously waiting to see what he does at the beginning of season 3, right? To get out of that situation.
To be on the Pike Medal of
the Valor, Valor, right? MC, you gave it to us, right?
What is it?
Yeah.
It's the Christopher Pike Medal of Valor.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel that anyway, any culture, any like system that makes so many people want to be the captain has something that is not really good in it. And I like the fact that Lower Decks is addressing this by saying, sure, it can bring people like Boimler that are going to be hyper anxious and don't know what to do with their life if they don't become a captain. But it also going to create people like Locarno.
Yeah.
Or even Tom Paris, or even people in the Maquis. Like, look at all like the crazy like outsiders and crazy narcissists that this system, this track of command has created. I mean, Kirk has a weird way of like wanting to be a captain. Let's be honest. It's like a bit, how can I say, like it makes me anxious a little bit.
I don't know. Well, I think early on, like, yes, I think Strange New Worlds is trying to fix that a little bit because, like, Sam looks at it like it's a competition, but Jim during those scenes, like, is like, I love how we're talking about Strange New Worlds now, is kind of like, no, I'm just good at my job. Like, it's not
There's
like,
also a huge side of nepotism.
Well, 100. No, definitely nepotism. 100%. For sure.
Like Tom Paris, you won't make me think that he's not the descendant of the Commodore Paris we see.
Well, yeah, and
Beyond.
his father's an admiral.
And his Admiral Paris.
Yeah.
But like it's not only the father. It's
no,
like
it's a
generation.
family legacy. Janeway's dad was also a captain. Like, I think you also have to remember too what these kids have to do to even get into Starfleet in the first place. Go through those insane, like, mental holodeck tests, right?
Ew, yeah.
And it's like
Kobayashi Maru.
Sorry?
Kobayashi Maru is insane.
Well, not just that, but like before you even get into Starfleet Academy, like what that shit that Wesley goes through and that they show in short treks. It's like they fuck with these kids like from the beginning in like really messed up ways. Like that shit doesn't happen in the Naval Academy. Like I don't think.
What's the name of that short trek?
But they don't.
I forget the name of it.
Ask Not.
Ask Not.
That's not.
Great job.
They have all of these mental tests, but they don't have regular like psych evals.
Psych evals, exactly. Yeah. MC.
I feel like Locarno, even if he hadn't been expelled from the academy, he would have either washed out or he would have been killed in the Dominion War. Because there is no way that guy is not going to try to be some sort of hotshot because specifically he wants to be a hero. Because what happens to him in First Duty is he wants to become a legend for something that does not matter. The only reason he's doing it is so that he looks good.
It's all glory.
And I feel like this is something that is coming up with him in this episode where he's basically like the guy who peaked in high school. Like he's got like the starburst on his jacket. He's basically wearing a Lettersman's jacket in this. He looks he's I know they have the same face, but Nick Locarno looks so much worse than Tom Paris.
That's so true. Nope.
He has gone to seed, and it's been 13 years since he was expelled. Like, he has not been doing this plan the entire time. Nick Locarno absolutely worked as a freighter captain at some point and, ended up being fired from that job. Like, there's been he has been a loser for frickin' years.
That's a great point.
And just on Giraffe was mentioning like this, environment that Starfleet Academy breeds, where you get like your Nick Locarnos and your Tom Paris. One of my favorite episodes, which I bring up a lot, you also get your Tim Waters, who is from the Valiant, who is somebody who is very much like Nick Locarno, because you've got Red Squad and Nova Squad, and these are like the two elite squads in Starfleet Academy. And Nick Locarno gets one person killed. Tim Waters gets an entire ship full of cadets killed.
And just gets left unchecked. Like we keep talking about, Starfleet just lets these people unchecked. I think that also was a bit of because of the Dominion War and there not being anybody to check on these kids. But still, there had to be
they went behind enemy lines and no, I've examined that episode a lot. I actually wrote an essay about it for a book.
Nice. I think I read that.
But you did. And I think I actually mentioned Nick Locarno in it too. But there is this, and it does come kind of from your Kirk archetype, where people are looking for this exceptionalism, where it's like the guy who plays against the rules. And they don't realize that that's not who Captain Kirk is. Like, he was described by his best friend as a, stack of books with legs. And he only grows into that image of, the cowboy diplomacy. That's not who he is. That's just like the stereotype of what everybody thinks he is. But everybody's trying to live up to that idea. And those are the kind of kids who were coming up during the Dominion War who got a lot of other people killed. And Nick Locarno is definitely that. And he is like the one person that Starfleet Academy at least caught. Like, I mean, yes, somebody got killed, but they at least caught him before he got onto a ship.
And that's really only because of Jean-Luc, like, putting the fear of God into Wesley. Like, they were gonna get away with it. They were.
Yeah.
And then Wesley did the right thing.
It wasn't for that stupid captain.
Yeah, damn Captain
The
Picard.
meddling captain.
Oh man, we should do like a First Duty retrospective sometime. I think that would be really fun. This may seem like a simple question. Maybe it is, maybe not. I'll just ask it right out. Is there any part of Nick Locarno that this is about redemption for him, or is this just straight up revenge?
This was just straight up revenge. And that, I mean, the idea was basically to kind of troll the galaxy and that, and like all these, all the species and that, looking for, the ones who, didn't want to play by the rules anymore, Yeah, it was all about revenge, but more precisely, it was all about like that vainglorious attempt to, to relive high school. It's like MC said, and that, that Leatherman jacket and everything, and that, he called it a coalition of equals and that, but really he thought he was at the head. He was the one everybody was following down the hall again.
Well, some people are more equal than others.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it was kind of it was an interesting plan.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. It could have worked if he was not
psycho,
so self-centered and psycho. Yeah. It's an interesting plan. I will give him that. I did not see that coming.
No, definitely. Yeah. No, we were not. This is like, I think one of the seasons that we were like, none of us were right about what was good.
Yeah.
No.
No, the only thing he didn't factor in was Mariner, and that he completely misread her situation.
Yeah. Are you good, MC? Do you have anything on this?
No, I actually do have some stuff to say. Like the only thing Locarno is trying to redeem is his reputation. Like he wants to be the big man on campus again.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Hawk said, that he was going to be a legend, and so now he's managed to get all of these people. He's kind of a cult leader in a way, because he attracts all of these lower deckers, and he's like, I'm going to give you like a way to get power if you betray, the people that you trust the most in the world, and you come over to me. Oh, and also bring all of your possessions, as in your ships. So yeah, it's very, very cultish. And the idea of what he's doing, as has been said, it's not a bad idea. Like there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing, except everything that he's doing. Like creating an independent coalition of ships from different species, there's no problem with that. That's fine. The only thing is the execution of it, where you're stealing ships and you're marooning captains and you're
buying Genesis devices from Ferengis.
Yes. And you're threatening the entire galaxy, where it's like, you guys, they become a terrorist organization. So Locarno is so all over the place, and it's all just in service to his ego, because he can't stand the fact that he peaked in high school and he's been working shit jobs for the last 13 years.
And he can't even fathom that Mariner is not thinking like him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He can't fathom that she actually, knows what's up.
Yeah.
And is good with it. And so self-centered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think with Mariner, he's also like completely shocked that Mariner wasn't thinking about him like all the time. Like, even though like she was
weird
Yuno's biggest fan.
Yeah.
Self-centered.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to go back before we're getting near the end here. I want to go back really quick to our crew, because we talked a lot earlier about how they kind of all drifted apart from each other during the course of the season, but it does end on this really like hopeful note. and it really kind of comes to the culmination of that in what we thought was the best episode of Star Trek of 2023, and that was Caves. I just want to like talk to you guys about, you know, how special that was, and how it showed that like people can drift apart, but like strong connections can endure. Like, what made that episode so special, Hawk?
The fact that there was more to each other's lives than they even realized. You know, it's like they have their own stories and that, and it's like it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it's like they were a little offended. It's like, why wouldn't you share this with us? And that it's like, you know, sometimes people have these adventures on their own and that don't necessarily have to do with the rest of the group. You know, you know, close friendships are great and that, but there's also like, you know, parts of ourselves that we don't divulge in that. Tendi went through all that like way back with you know, with her family and that, you know, we saw how much of that she tried to hide from the rest of the crew. And in this case, like Boimler, you know, forced into a situation, was able to like, you know, kind of connect on some sort of level with Levy and that, you know, the conspiracy nut. Rutherford had a baby.
Dude, the Rutherford baby, I will just never ever forget.
And yeah,
Any of you guys get pregnant and not tell me, I will never talk to you ever again.
Friendship over.
You're gonna cut me with love,
Over.
Giraffe?
Yes, I threaten him by text very often to
Yep.
cut him with love.
It's true. Yeah.
Mariner bonded with the Delta shift, and Tendi, you know, kind of got shouted down a little bit in that episode, and that, but she really just wanted to talk about like, you know, how much fun it was, you know, getting stuck in an elevator with them. You know, it showed them like as individuals who had their own lives, but also, you know, when they came down to it at the end, that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Draft.
I love Cave. Cave is most probably my favorite episode of the season with empathological fallacies. Ha! Look at this. I said it.
All
Look at
right.
this.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
All
Give
right.
me the claps.
I'm
Come on.
working on it. All right. All right.
Thank you.
You get half claps.
You know I do. I love caves, and I love caves, yeah, because as like Hog was saying, it gives you like the idea that world is so much bigger and there's so many things happening, which I like because fan fiction, let's go. But also it's such a Star Trek tradition to just drop some like side information of something absolutely insane that happened and then never talk about it again. It's like, what do you mean Trip got pregnant?
Yeah.
End of it. Like, what? You know? Or where they just tell you, oh yeah, you know, we cannot go higher than warp 10. And you're like, oh, okay. And oh, you turn into a salamander. And then that's it. And I love that. I love this so much.
Uhura lost her memory, never talked about again.
You're right. It's just like outside, like when they talk about like conversation when people is like, oh yeah, the 100 years war between the Vulcans and the Romulans. Okay, what do you mean you had a war for 100 years with the Romulans, and then it's no more info than this? And I really like this because that's the thing that sparked my imagination so much when they just randomly tell you a side story, and you're like, what? You had babies with your captain?
It's great. Some of the best episodes are built on that.
It's true.
Exactly.
Will Riker was involved in a mutiny when he was just a cadet? Wow.
Yeah.
You're right. And you're like, can I know more? Like, please?
Enterprise was just a giant holodeck simulation? What? Oh, okay.
No, we don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about. Sorry, that's the one we don't talk about. MC.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I love this episode. And I mean, it does feel just so realistic because think about like when you were in high school or college and like all of like your intense friendships with people, and it's like you share absolutely everything with them. But as you get older and you start getting jobs, and it's like, oh, I can't hang out Friday night because I got to work late, and then eventually it's like, oh, I've got kids at home, and suddenly it's been 2 years since you've even talked to them on the phone, which is kind of what these lower deckers are going through. They were, they slept 3 feet away from each other, and in episode 2, I think Tendi says, I don't know how I'm going to go to sleep without you muttering about the warp core. And that's kind of what's going on. And I think it's really interesting that Tendi is the only one who tells a story about all of them together. She's the only one who doesn't tell a story that enrages the other. She's the one who brings them all together. And she is the one at the end of this season who is forced to move on, who is the one who is taken out of the friend group.
Yeah. This episode hits me because it's very realistic to my life, like right now. Like, and you guys just kind of talked about it. Like, I'm married, I have 2 kids. I moved away from an area that I loved living and where all of our friends were. And it was hard. And but when we do get back together, it's like no time has passed. And I think this episode is so beautiful because it reminds them that no matter all of their time apart, like, they are still family. They are still besties. Like, another great example of that, like, I have a really good buddy of mine, Scott, who, we used to play Warzone like every night during the pandemic. It's literally what got us through the pandemic. And when the pandemic ended, we didn't talk as much, and now we talk even less. But I still consider him one of my best friends. Like, we barely text, we don't call. We go to union games, we get drunk, and we catch up. And it's like no time has passed. And I think that that's beautiful, and I think it's a beautiful episode to show that these show the characters coming to that realization that, like, they can come back together. Like, I adore this episode so much.
Too ADHD for that. Like, it's like the food in the fridge. If I don't see people, I forget they exist.
Damn,
it's
Giraffe.
not bad feeling. It's not mean. I just like, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh my God.
Real.
MC just brought it up. This kind of brings us to the end of the episode, of the end of season 4, the shocking departure of Tendi. Definitely a shock, I think, for all of us. I want to know kind of why you think she made this choice, because I remember one of the things that we talked about at the end of season 4 was she could have just pulled an Orion, like, I'm not honoring my deal, I'm a pirate, like, I'm Jack Sparrow, of course I'm going to double cross you. But she does make this choice to go back to Orion and honor the deal with De'Erica. How does that reflect, I think, her growth over the course, not just the season, but of the series, Hawk?
It's difficult. I mean, I think we theorized, like, last year when we were reviewing this, that there's might be a side plot to it, possibly involving Starfleet taking her aside and saying, maybe turning her into a like a Ceto Jaxa in their own particular way, right?
Or just gather more
Not
about
a good reference.
gather more information about Orion culture, which they don't have a lot of.
Orion Spock.
Yeah,
exactly.
Unification.
But another layer to this might be, like, this is her background has always been like a source of embarrassment for her in that, because it's not really who she is, even though like there's a big part of her who is the mistress of the Windsor constellation. Yes. Her big love is science and figuring things out, and this friendship that she has with these lower deckers. So for her to walk away from it, it's confusing, but possibly it's something that it's a part of her that she needs to address in order to become more of a complete person. Instead of running away from it, she's got to confront it. It would have been easy to pull a pirate trick and say,
go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself, De'Erica.
Yeah.
But also, on another level in that that's how different she is from Orion culture, in that she does have a sense of honor and commitment, and that she understands that the value of her word is, her word. So all that kind of comes into play. But again, we're gonna have to see.
Yep. Treff.
Tandy, I was like, I know what we're talking about. I'm here for Tandy. Like, I was there for Tandy facing who she is. It's not good, like trying to negate your past. You can be ashamed of it. You can be, I don't know, you can have problem with it. You may not want to talk to your family, but it's still a part of who you are. And I think at one point you need, to face it. And I'm glad like she honored the deal and she showed that, no, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And also it's a good story.
It is. It's a great story. Yeah. MC?
Because if you were
sorry,
like,
Jeff.
no, I'm not gonna do it, I'll be like, no, I want to see the Orions.
Yeah.
So it's great storytelling. We just hope that we never saw the trial of Freeman, and we talked for like an hour about it. So we're like, next season, we're gonna know.
No,
we're gonna see.
Hopefully,
So,
we go back to Orion. Yeah, MC.
I mean, there's so many reasons that I think that Tendi did this. And I think part of it is that, she has not reconciled the whole Mistress of the Winter Constellation thing. She is trying to incorporate that into who she is as a person, because she did cut herself off completely from it. And she acted so ashamed of it. But it is obviously a part of who she is. And she should let it be a part of who she is. She also obviously has a not great relationship with her family. And she does try to, Something Borrowed, Something Green, start to rebuild her relationship with Erica. And I don't think she wants to give that up. I think, double crossing her, I don't think would go over very well. And there's also the fact that Freeman is the one who comes to the table and tells Tendi, it's like, it's time for you to go. This is not just Tendi making this decision. Tendi made a decision as a Starfleet officer to say, I will, come back to Orion and be a part of this family. If Tendi does I'm going to Orion double cross, the Orions aren't going to see that as doing a pirate double cross. They're going to see that as a Starfleet officer not honoring their deal. And that's something that could cause a war.
Well, not just a Starfleet officer not honoring a deal, but from an Orion/Mafia perspective, also someone of a major crime family not honoring a deal is a big fucking slight. Like, if you've watched The Sopranos, you know what happens to people in that situation. So it could have been bad for Tendi as well. Yeah.
Not just bad for Tendi. I think that the Cerritos gets blown up. I think a lot of stuff happens. Yeah. And I think Tendi knows that her family would, be able to do a lot of different things. And also, just on the other side, the whole reason why Tendi goes to the wedding in the first place is because Freeman said about, relations between Orions and the Federation. So that's what gets her to go. And again, in the finale, there was, the first arrangement that's been made between Orions and the Federation. So yeah, it is kind of a Spocky thing where Tendi can go back and actually kind of bring her Starfleet ideals to Orion. I mean, granted, we know from Discovery it doesn't work, but I mean, that's 1,000 years away. So who knows?
Yeah.
Something could have happened in the between.
Yeah. Geek Filter in the chat writes, I'm excited to see season 5 because it appears as if what they're wearing might be a family crest, which means Tendi's family was in the animated series. Also very interesting, which leads me into my next question. What does this mean for season 5? Speculation time. What does Tendi's departure mean for the crew in the next season? We know from trailers, promo material, that she does return to the ship. But things are you got to imagine things are going to be different, right? Will Rutherford, like, how will like Rutherford and her besties react? Like, are they gonna hold a grudge? Or are they just gonna give her a big hug and be happy to see her? Like, how does this affect next season, Hawk?
So hard to speculate. I think, you know, whatever happens, they welcome her back with open arms. You know, I don't think they realize that, you know, she did this because, you know, they needed a ship. You know, you know, it was either that or hand over the Cerritos at the time. I can't. I'm terrible at speculating. I'll let Giraffe and
Fair. That's all right.
MC
Go ahead,
speculate.
Giraffe.
I have no idea. I legit have no clue what this season is gonna be about. Like for me, season 4, first of all, was so strong, and second, like brought so much to the table. I'm like, oh, okay, what are we gonna talk about now? What's gonna happen? I want some Orion piracy. I want some, you know, badassery in space with swords. I'm here for that. But I have no clue what. It's your final season.
Got to pull
Like,
out all the stops. Yeah.
But which stop are left? They hit a lot of stops.
I know. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I trust them.
Fair.
So we'll see.
Yeah. MC?
Well, I mean, I already mentioned in my last answer the idea of Tendi bringing some of the Starfleet ideals to Orion, and we do know that she comes back eventually. I would like her to bring some of that Orion piracy to Starfleet, because Starfleet needs to get a little dirty. Like, and I would like to see that a little bit more going ahead. So I don't know. Like Giraffe said, I have no idea what's going to happen this season. This season, none of the trailers have given me any idea. This last season, all bets are off.
Nice.
Orion Piracy with Section 31 Boimler.
Oh,
So here for that.
I like that.
Nice. Geek Filter is Crisis Point 3, the search for Vindicta. Mars, I think they're going to knock our socks
I
off.
want Vindicta. Yes,
Give us
back.
Vindicta.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you all what your final thoughts on season 4 are, but I feel like everybody has known our final thoughts on the season since it aired and after just talking about it for close to 2.5 hours. So I'm just going to go with, I'll turn these around because we actually don't think I've ever talked about them, if there are any. Least favorite moments from the season. Very quick. Hawk.
My least favorite moment was probably the Badgie storyline this year. I found it kind of weak, you know. There wasn't, you know, there was resolution to it, but I wasn't really happy with it.
Fair. Giraffe?
Was there any peanut hamper? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That.
Ah!
No, it's
Oh,
actually
my
not
God.
a bad episode, but I would say that Badgie and Peanut Hamper, as much as I know a lot of people love them, I'm kind of over them, and I'm kind of like, it's fine. Bring me Moopsies. Bring me something else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, fair. MC.
Yeah, actually, exactly the same. Like this season, there are 9 banger episodes. And then there's one episode that I just think it's not bad. It's just, what is it? A few badgies more?
A few badges
Yeah.
more.
It's just okay, which when it comes to a season where there's nothing but bangers, it really stands out as I don't like this one.
Yeah.
Aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine.
Aggressively fine. Yeah.
You know, as much as we've shit on the Peanut Hamper episode, I actually really liked the Peanut Hamper episode with Agamis
I like
this
that
season.
part
It's
of it.
not a bad episode.
I actually really- I don't want to
liked
beat
it,
a dead horse, but yeah, like the Badgie episode, like Badgie was so iconic in season 1, right? So you would have to do something as equally iconic for his like reappearance, and it just wasn't, right? So again, aggressively fine. We're getting yelled at for our hate of Peanut Hamper. Sorry. Unless Geek Filter's talking about Tara. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah,
that's what I was figured it was Tara.
Favorite moments. I actually got these guys. We're gonna be featuring them in TikToks and Instagram reels throughout the week, but let's talk about them real quick. Hawk, your favorite moment of this season?
Twaining.
Well,
Oh,
I do
yes, think
say,
about
sure.
this, yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Twaining. I love it. Giraffe.
And pathological fallacies, the whole Vulcan as a motherfucker, and the Betazoid agents were like that whole episode is my
It's
favorite.
Romulan
moment.
8 o'clock somewhere.
It's Romulan 8 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Like iconic stuff that I want to wear and reminisce all the time.
I don't know Tyrannochillicus, but I could try. That's my favorite line from that episode.
That's a good line.
Yeah. MC.
Not since the Tribble has there been a more iconic little animal in Star Trek. The Moopsie, just the entire episode. It was just so chef's kiss, just such an adorable creature. And I mean, we're used to like the adorable creature that's actually dangerous, but it was done so well. We watched the episode just the other day in the Discord, and it's just so good. The entire thing.
I still don't have a Moopsie soundbite somehow on here, which is atrocious. Could you guys play your Moopsies for me? Thank you. I knew I could count on you guys. My favorite moment.
I had lunch with the voice of the Moopsie.
Nice.
Equally adorable.
I feel so weird saying this because like Tendy's my favorite character, right? But my absolute favorite moment, just because I think of the way it was written and shot and everything, was Boymes taking the captain's chair in the finale. There was just something so special about that scene and how he was portrayed and how he hangs up on Starfleet. Like, it's just so, like, I don't know. It's just such an epic scene of the season. I absolutely love that moment. And that leads us, my friends, finally to the subspace to poll and mailbag. And we have a new mailbag noise.
Warp me.
There she is. Let's go. Who wants to take the subspace to poll?
I can do that.
Oh, before we go, we have a couple of favorite moments here. Sorry. Jim McMahon, the Chalnoth Twains were my favorite. Gene Kang, my favorite moment was Rutherford giving birth. Yeah, and then Geek Filter, just because I know it echoes the What Season 2 episode where he's basically doing Captain Improv, the exact same stances. Yeah, Bicephalus Dagger. Yeah. Hawk, did you say you were taking the poll?
Yep.
Hit it.
So we asked Trek Threads what they thought of Lower Deck Season 4, and this is what they had to say. 75% said,
I'll do it again. It didn't come through.
oh, really? God.
Oh, it's not working. Anyway, I'll put it in post.
Moopsie. 18% said, fuck yeah, logic, bitch. 0% said, throw me in a Moan's pit. And 7% said, strand me in a cave. Who
hurt you?
Yeah, that's.
I have to say that like the Lower Decks hater are becoming like more and more, I don't know, present because I don't know, internet cesspool. I hear more and more people like being
Oh,
weird.
I yelled at people the other day. Yeah, they're fucking stupid. I don't have time for that shit. That's why I left Twitter. That means Draft. Can you take Trouble's mailbag, please?
Trouble Road. Season 4 of Lower Decks was the wildest, sweetest, most chaotic thing, and I loved every second of it. To pick a favorite episode or moment is damn near impossible for me. Moopsie, Twains, Tuvix, Meatball, Salamander Babies, Voyager, the list of cool stuff goes on and on. This season lives rent-free in my brain and gets quoted on a regular basis. I'm pretty sure this is my 5th time watching Lower Decks as a comfort show, and it definitely won't be the last. I want to do cool stuff on Voyager now, too. People keep saying Top Paris and Nick Locano have the same face. I don't see it.
They have the same face. MC, can you take NYR lights, please?
My Rawlite wrote, I still can't believe how Lower Decks continually packs so much humor and so much thoughtful content 22-minute package. Tying Mariner's struggles to her PTSD over Sito's death and the Dominion War provided more character development than we often saw in the live-action shows. I can't help thinking of Mariner when I rewatched the Dominion War on DS9, but probably my favorite part of Season 4 is how they integrated T'Lyn into the gang without missing a beat.
True.
Very true. Very true. I'll take Matt Harkers, who wrote, Lower Decks Season 4 has reminded me how amazing the Star Trek franchise is as a whole and will hopefully continue to be. I loved Mariner's journey this season and look forward to seeing her grow in Season 5. I think by the end of the series, the growth journey for our crew is something we'll all look back on fondly and smile. Huck, you take Chris Waterman's, please.
Chris Waterman wrote, Season 4 of Lower Decks has shown growth in the characters while at the same time packing the laughs and Easter eggs into each show we've all grown to love. This is a great springboard for the 5th season.
Yes, it is. And then take us home, please, Giraffe, with Mars's mailbag.
Mars wrote, Season 4 of Lower Decks, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Boimler's expert tricks. Mariner's highs and lows. Moopsie. Rutherford and Tandy's friendship. T'Lyn's Vulcan snark. For a show I wasn't sure about right away, it sure has wormed its way into my heart. Lower Decks ad infinitum.
Yes. By the way, if you love Boimler's shrieks, we have an entire TikTok dedicated to the Boimler shriek. You should go watch it because it's epic. And I believe it got featured on Screen Rant. So proud pod moment there. That's going to do it. Thanks for sticking around, everyone. Our season reviews are always long, but I think they're always worth it. We hope that you enjoyed it. It was a blast for me. I think it was a blast for the rest of you.
Happy to be back.
Happy to be back. Giraffe is back. This only means one thing. Our next show is Season 5, guys. Let's go. Actually, that's not true. We're probably going to do a New York Comic-Con show in between then, so I lied.
Yeah.
But that's important too. But our next Thursday pod is the premiere of Lower Decks Season 5. We cannot fucking wait. Let's go. Lower Decks, sarcastic Vulcan salute. We will see you all next week sometime. For Moopsie, for MC, for Hawk, for Giraffe, I am Julian. Live long and prosper. Majram. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.